Well, everybody, I think this is actually starting to look like a proper, legit, actual kind of thing. I very much worried about how stable all of the pistons and the drills would be, so I added a few struts on the sides here just to make sure this doesn't completely fall apart the second I turn it on. And we got a little grid here, so I can make sure everything's here. I have access to everything if we need to perform any actual repairs. And we have, of course, hooked up the rover over here, which... Let's see, I like the look of the rover. I'm actually not sure I'm ever going to paint it, because it just looks so nice. It does also have a few new buttons, which just control the rotor if I happen to, like, be outside and then it starts to get dark or something. I might add a couple back here as well, just to, like, externally control that connector, but for the most part, this is largely good to go. The last thing that we actually have to do is finish up the system down there. So if I just quickly hop on down... It's been a fair bit more mining just around it, just to make sure I actually had all the materials left for it. But, very straightforward. So here we have the conveyor junction, which is attached to a small rotor part. You can do that by grinding off the original and just telling the rotor to, like, attach one. It'll spawn the grid for once, I can get it. And below that, we have 3 drills of the size that we would actually put on the rover if we were thinking of turning that into some kind of mining vehicle. And then between those, you have small conveyors and small curved conveyor tubes leading up into the conveyor junction. So, if I get a fair few interior plates, construction components, and motors, we should be able to start putting this together, and then it's just a matter of getting the drills working. And naturally, I have been ferrying back a whole ton of materials just over the course of this whole thing, so hopefully this shouldn't take, like, way longer than I'd rather like to be spending. I swear the cold out here is just sapping my energy. There's, like, only so many spoons that I have in, like, conventional terrestrial cityscapes and such, and, yeah, this is not a conventional terrestrial cityscape, and I think that's probably depleting my spoons a bit faster than I'm used to. But, anyways, with that in mind, let's get to fixing this. Okay, one crafting session over, and everything loaded neatly and tidily into the medium cargo containers of the rover. We should have everything that we need to at least get one of these drills working. It won't be all free, not just yet, but it should at least be enough for a proof of concept. So if I just drive back down to the bottom here, we should actually be able to just take things straight out of the rover, use it as a cargo hauler. Essentially what was intended to be its end usage anyways. Easy, easy. Yeah, let's bring you right up to the mouth of madness here, as it were. And park. And lights. Though you've got 5 days of power, so that's probably not a huge concern for us here. Okay. So, if I see what I can grab. Oh, grand, we got everything there in one fell swoop. Hurrah. So, come on, up we go. There we go. Okay, get this up and running. Huzzah! So there's this big entrance point here. There's also these smaller ones at the side. That's what we're interested in. And then all of that. And all of that. Okay, good. We're hooking up, and without further ado, and if I was properly oriented, that would be nice. Here we go. Come on, functional drill. Hey, hey! Very nice, very nice. Okay, so as I say, this isn't going to be fully functional until I've got all 3 of those, and I don't particularly want to actually, like, use this until all 3 of them are in position, because otherwise I'll just break them off on the sides there. But it shouldn't be too much an ask now to actually get this to at least turn one of these on. So if we come up here, we can access the controls. So that drill's on. If we turn that on now... Yep, we can see it doing stuff. Do we have anything in here? No, we're too far away from it. Okay, so we do need to get the other ones running. But that's a good start. That is a good start. So once we actually have the other 2 drills complete, the job will be to essentially turn on the rotor to go very slowly, and then turn on the pistons to go even slower, so that it extends at a slow enough pace that the drills are capable of digging out the whole circular area beneath them, and then it should be able to go about 30 meters down. It's not a great deal in the grand scheme of, like, heavy mining, but it is pretty dang good for a start. So, let's see, that's one more curve, one more junction, and 2 more drills. Well, predictably, we ran out of materials, so yeah, a little bit more hand digging, but hopefully this is the last time you'll ever see me having to dig. Well, ish. Obviously, I'm gonna have to hand mine some cobalt for a fair while, but hopefully this will be the last time you see me digging, at least stone, for a fair while. Like, there's probably a few more things I'll need to dig by hand yet, but at least it won't be here. At least it won't feel like I'm somehow reverse fly tipping. Ah. And break. The brake exists for a reason. Although Lord knows I'm probably gonna wear it out very quickly. And handbrake. Yeah. It's almost like I should maybe have a license. I should not have a license. Just you know, it's almost like I should maybe have a license. Haha. Okay. Hopefully that's enough to get these running. Yep, okay, so there's another drill going. Grand, that should be fully hooked up already. And build that. Good. That too. And yeah! We got everything, everybody. Perfect. It is ready to go. Our sort of mini miner? I don't know. Also, yeah, I lowered the actual, like, height offset of these wheels a little bit because we kept having trouble of actually hooking up to the connectors. Turns out the rover is actually a little bit too tall by default. So, yeah, now it's down to, like, half of its height offset, which makes me even more worried I'm gonna crang the bottom of this on something. So, just gotta bear that in mind, and also I suck at parking up here at the moment because there's no, like, parking line to give me a hand. So I gotta be careful. But I think I should be able to manage. He said probably about to break something. And also failing to get a connection for the aforeseen reasons. Yep. Gonna have to lower these wheels even more. I don't know why there's a distinction between this one and the one at the main station. But there is. So we're down to 15 currently. Let's change that down to 10. There we go. Okay. They're an automated system, so I kind of just have to deal with it more or less. Okay. So now that we've gotten all of those in place, we've also got power. We don't have a battery over here, do we? Yeah, we don't have a battery, so it's just working on wind power now, so we don't want to try and tax it too much. So we're going to... Let's see, go to the rear camera. No, the rotor. The advanced rotor, to be exact. And I don't see it. There you are. Okay, so rotations per minute. We want this to be relatively low. Let's go for 0.01. So let's see how she does. I think she's moving, I'm not sure. Let's crank that up a little higher. Say for 1/10 of a rotation. That certainly looks like a rotation. Okay, and let's turn all the drills on. Let's also group them so I can find them a bit more easily. Blee! And let's just set those to not appear on the terminal, just so we just have that. And there they go. Okay. So I don't think we're picking anything up just yet. No, we're just registering the recon rover over there. So now we group the pistons in the same fashion. Don't want to see those in the terminal either. And pistons, we want to, let's see, give them a very, very low extension rate. And let's have a look, see how that's doing. That might actually be too fast, I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, that's way too fast. That's extending much faster than the rotor is moving at the very least, so we want to dial that down a fair bit. So, not here. And I'm actually going to dial up the rotor just a little bit, just a squeech, because that still feels kind of too slow to me. 0.25. Okay. In future, I need to remember to put some kind of blockade here. Oh, are we working? Are we working? They're wibbling, I know that much. But wibbling doesn't mean very much. Now, I don't really want to get in there in case this causes me some degree of harm. Because let's be real, it probably will, and that's the last thing we want whilst I'm the only person out here. Next, the first group of settlers comes here, and the first thing that they discover is my frozen and mutilated corpse at the bottom of this. Yeah, that won't be a good look. The international community will not be happy with us, if that's the case. So, come on. I know you can do it. We're looking for some kicking up of dust here and such. Hey, hey, hey! There we go, everybody. It is working. Grand. Okay, so that should then be funneling it through to there, which should be going into the storage, which should then be getting taken out by the inventory sorter. And that should then mean that we are just autonomically getting huge amounts of stone. No need for me to do anything except avoid falling in there, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna need some kind of safety railing. I already have a safety railing up here, I guess, which I probably could have been observing this through. But, you know, bit more pomp and circumstance, I guess. So let's see. 391 stone already gathered. It's not a great deal, but nonetheless. Obviously, though, if it'll go into the connector, it won't actually go anywhere inside of the rover. The rover's not actually set up to just autonomically receive stone from a given inventory, but that is a thing I can probably fit. There's a point. That is probably something I could add in here. Just tack on an inventory sorter of its own onto the side and just control that with a thing. But, yeah, that's going nicely. So obviously, it's very slow, because if it goes too quickly, it'll just ram the drills directly into the ground and damage them quite irrevocably. Well, not irrevocably. All things can be fixed, even if fixing necessarily means replacing the whole of them. But, yeah, nice. Okay. So that should more or less be able to go until it actually reaches capacity, which I don't have a way of detecting. But more importantly, it can go day or night because it's powered by the wind rather than the sun, and it's also powered by machinery and not me, so it should be able to go pretty much without end. So that'll just generate stone for us to process, just whilst I'm sleeping, essentially. Which will probably be done still at main base, because this is going to be noisy as all heck. How are we doing over here? That connector is now up to over 3,000 stone. Yeah, this is working. It's working, everybody. To quote a certain maligned Star Wars film, it's working. Oh, and it's just gradually accumulating in there. This can hold up to about 8,000. Well, you know, 8,000 cubic liters. That's not mass. It's... trying to think here. What's the conversion rate here? A lot. It can hold a lot. Is, I think, the conclusion. How much can the connector on this carry? Not even remotely all of that. But yeah, that is nice. So I probably just need to, like, set up some kind of button up here so I can just freeze the rotor and the pistons and whatnot, just so that they don't go too far. If in case the storage gets locked up, because this is still this is a small, like a station size, but it's still like relatively small. It's classified as a small at the very least. But yeah, I think that's going well. So I just need to keep an eye on this to make sure it doesn't end up plowing into the ground. Because if it's rotating if the pistons are extending too quickly, it'll slam them into the ground. If it's rotating too slowly, it'll just sort of brush the drills off by, like, ramming them into the side of the wall. But, it looks to be doing okay. It's decently stable. I think these struts are doing their job quite nicely. Eventually, we're probably going to want to add more pistons so we can ditch it even lower. Theoretically, it is possible that we could build a tunnel bore, and just use that for mining. But there's the question then of where does it stop? That kind of thing. And we don't necessarily want to just set it off running, and eventually how's it going to get materials back and all sorts. And that is a much bigger engineering problem than what we have here. But I think this is doing quite nicely. Woohoo! I'm really incredibly chuffed. It feels like I haven't done very much the past few, logs, but that is mostly because we've had some significant power issues, which have now been not 100% solved, but the wind turbine is doing its job and such. And we've also had dramatic, just material shortages, which this is meant to solve. So, well, not solve, ameliorate dramatically, I think might be a better phrase. To actually solve it, we need something more about the size of this entire hole, rather than just that little section of it. But, good luck, good luck. What time is it? Do I have to do more work today? That is the question. And it's 2 a.m. I should probably try and recalibrate this, find out what time zone it's working on. It might well be 2 a.m. For all I know. But I hope everybody back home is doing okay. I hope there's nothing, dreadfully terrible and exacerbating going on. So, hopefully, at the very least, I hope that my logs from out here are, a source of some comfort. If things are going badly in your part of the world, here in the most desolate chunk of it, we're building something pretty amazing. But, this is gonna be slow, but should help us quite dramatically. Oh yeah, look at that. Just while I've been talking. Probably, I might actually just tack on a couple more drills on that, just to be, especially good. But, you'll see if I've done that by the start of the next log, I guess. So, hope you've enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all over here. And, catch you in the next one, I guess. Just, yeah. See ya. Okay, well, looks like that particular log was a little bit on the short side, so allow me to demonstrate that I am actually earning my pay. Although we haven't actually figured out an economy for this nation, so technically this is entirely, volunteer work, I guess, strictly speaking, and I can therefore determine my own hours, and also I'm my own boss, because there's literally nobody for many, many miles. But, nonetheless, so, I have added a button on either side here of the conveyor, so we can now, in fact, activate and deactivate it as we like. I have reworked that now as well, because over here we have the small sorter, which will ferry specifically ores, which includes stone, directly out through the conveyor into all of the storage. Does it very quickly, way faster than I can actually do it by hand, so makes things much easier over there. I just drive there, hit the button, and off I go. And just for one other trick, because Lord knows I always have more than one, over here we have a timer block. This is basically a kind of programmable block or a multi-block. I can just tell it a bunch of things to do and it'll macro it quite happily, so I just trigger it, or I give it a timer and just say it'll do this after such and such a time. In this particular case, what that is set to do is switch the status of the connector, which means we can connect or disconnect, and also turn off the small conveyor, because if we still have that on when we hook up to main base, then it'll cause a whole manner of chaos with the inventory system. And what that means is that now, if I go to the second inventory wheel here, we have the antenna, the ore detector, the rotor, and the battery controls, and over on 8 there we have the button to activate, specifically just activate, the sorter. And every time that we disconnect or even just engage the connector, it will turn off that sorter, so it will never cause us any kind of problem. That said, there is a little bit of similar work over with the actual mine, so let me go show that off. Also, I did discover that there was indeed a little bit of damage here, which was that I had completely blown off the light at the front there. So hopefully that's not so much a problem now, but I probably do need to get this place over here fixed up so that I can actually park a little easier. Lord knows I ain't good at parking. or driving for that matter. But, you know, I'm getting steadily better. You know, you get better with practice, hopefully. Such is the hope. So, yeah, a little bit like that, and a little bit like that, and be careful. And there we go. Okay, we are set. So, I can reverse the rotor, turn that on, I can disconnect, reconnect, whatever I like. It's the same exact button as on the hotbar in the controls, so we can just do all of that from over here. We can see that's currently green. If I switch it on and go to our inventory on our ship, we can see we are already 2 medium cargo containers full of stone, so consequently, we're basically just ready to go now. Like, it's really fast, and I don't even have to get out. That's pretty sweet, I have to say. But that is not the only thing that has been done over here. So, first and foremost, I now have a button panel over here. I can tell it to do a variety of things if I should wish, but the main one is to just control the drills, which turns them on and off, as well as pauses the rotor and freezes the pistons, so if it gets full, then I can tell it to just stop, more or less. And by the looks of things, we actually get to get going again. So let's just turn that on. Have a mosey. And there it goes, just steadily extending because it has now been upgraded so swiftly. So good to have materials to 5 entire drills, which also gives it a little bit of a backlog. It was actually backing up, like, within the time I was recording the last section of the log here. So, yeah, no, I don't really want to go in there, because Lord knows that would be dangerous. But you can kind of just make it out there that there is a pipe going directly between them, the outermost ones, because that's all that they actually need in order to connect to the other ones, and then get yanked through by the conveyor sorter and such. So that's pretty good, just by itself, and just like the conveyor sorter, here we have a big timer block, which is significantly more beefy, can handle station kind of power supply as well as objects and such. So that is controlling the pistons, the rotor, and the drills, all with just one quite happy switch. So this place is pretty good. The only thing I think it could do with, besides actually fully, like, building up and painting and whatnot, would maybe be some kind of inventory management, so if it detects that it's hit full capacity, then it should turn itself off immediately. As it is, I do kind of have to, like, keep an eye on it at the moment. Although, you know, that's not dreadfully saying very much. I mean, it is very happily building stuff up here, so you know, that's something. And yeah, you can just sort of see here is what happens if the conveyor gets, if the sorter gets kept left on. That's because the connector here has to be connected to the main inventory there, because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't be able to actually deposit stuff back into the base when we got back. So the conveyor sorter more or less is a circle, as it were, after a point, because it's coming out the side, going into there, but this is also going into there, so stuff goes into one and ends up in the other and just goes in this big loop, because that's the only place I can shove it after that stage. But that, nonetheless, works pretty well. Works pretty well. How are we doing on that inventory now? We apparently have not built up enough just yet, but we are seeing stuff into the drill. And how about, yeah, just there. Yeah, it looks like it's trying quite considerably. It's finished up on the connector, but it looks like it's gonna have to wait a little bit before it can actually hit more stuff, because of course I've mined this area quite dramatically as is. But nonetheless, this whole thing's working. We have ourselves a mining station, everybody, and I don't even need to step outside in order to actually use it. It's pretty sweet. I only have to step outside to turn it off. But I guess theoretically I could use the, like, system control via the cockpit of the rover to trigger the timer block and turn it off, but, you know, that's certainly not nearly as fun. Yeah, there we go. Hey, and as you can see, it has also, like, dug out a pretty decent hole down there. Like, that big circular dip isn't for me, because Lord knows I couldn't dig I couldn't dig a flat hole if I wanted to. But yeah. So if if anybody back home has determined if I get a wage and also what our economy is, then, I hope I have earned my pay today, because it is 5 a.m., and I need to definitely go get some sleep, because that sun's not gonna be great for my eyes very quickly. But, yeah, pretty sweet, pretty sweet. So, just to demonstrate, keep an eye on the side of our rover there as I disconnect. There we go. It has turned red, which means it has turned off. And that means that I'm now 100% ready to just drive on home, or I would if I wasn't caught in the gravity of that conveyor. Oh no. This video made possible by my wonderful supporters on Patreon. Their efforts ensure that I'm able to continue making entertaining content, and that a steady flow of tea continues to feed directly into my ancient and twisted heart. To help me and get some fun rewards for joining my seedy cabal of forgetfuls, head over to patreon.com/lying.